Brexit talks between the EU and the UK continue to sour, but as Boris Johnson's team made the clever move to reveal its negotiating trade demands, EU chief negotiator Michel Barnier is left with no choice but to reveal all Brussels cards soon, a trade expert has claimed. Speaking to Express, international trade expert from the University of Monash, Australia, claimed the UK's latest Brexit move will force Brussels to cave into revealing its trade negotiating strategy. Dr. Di Lito argued that EU chief negotiation Michel Barnier was forced to pretend to welcome the UK's transparency but argued Brussels was left in a bit of a bind by the move. He said, the UK has released their proposals to the European Commission for their trade framework, which of course Michel Barnier, the EU chief negotiator, had to pretty much pretend that he liked the move, which put the EU in a bit of a bind. It is not common practice during the early stages of a negotiation that governments would publicly release their requests. Some might say that the UK did that to try and convince individual EU governments to be more amenable to the UK's requests. And that's against the protocol of the European Commission because trade negotiations fall under the Commission's remit rather than the individual countries. Of course, Barnier tweeted, "We welcome the transparency of this," but having said that he didn't reciprocate the UK's gesture. So to me that reveals that there are still problems and the UK government is now forcing the hand of the European Union to pretty much reveal their cards. On Wednesday, Michel Barnier hit out at the tone of Boris Johnson's Europe advisor David Frost, as the row between the UK and European Union over post-Brexit trade talks continued to simmer. The European Union's lead negotiator said a new dynamism was needed in talks if they are to avoid a stalemate. He was responding to a letter from Mr. Frost, which was highly critical of the EU's approach to the negotiations. Mr. Frost's letter followed the latest round of negotiations on a trade deal, which made little progress and were described as tetchy by British insiders.